West Ham kick off their Premier League campaign with a visit from the reigning champions, Manchester City. We actually play our first game of the season at home since the defeat to Tottenham in the 2014-15 season. Our main man, Manuel Pellegrini, has been building a strong squad over the summer for the up-and-coming season, but he does, of course, face a tough game against Pep Guardiola's reigning champions, who only sealed the league by a single point over Liverpool last season. And after a sloppy start last season, Pellegrini will definitely be keen to hit the ground running. Good evening and welcome back to Irons United. Of course, I am Anton and I am joined by another regular, which is Stel. Stel, we're back for our first proper preview of the new Premier League campaign. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm actually feeling quite optimistic, to be honest with you. I know we're all going to look at our past record against Man City, our recent record, and say that we're going to, we're in line to get another pulverising. People are also going to look at the result in China in that Chinese tournament and say that was typical, another 4-0 defeat. Quite a regular occurrence for us against Man City, 4-0, 4-1, 5-0, all that sort of stuff. But I'll be really honest with you, after seeing the way the team performed personally, the fact that, when I went to see them against Bilbao last Saturday and the way they performed moving forward, I'm quite optimistic. We've still got problems at the back, but I think we're going to be quite a formidable force going forward this season. And I think teams like Man City are actually going to have to start defending against us. Whereas maybe in the past, teams like that haven't had to worry about defending against us. So I'm optimistic, mate.
Of course, we do transfer videos for you and have been doing loads of transfer videos for all you guys throughout the season. West Ham have added 6 new players to the squad. And of course, you could say potentially releasing quite a lot of the deadwood in and around the squad. How, in a nutshell, have you rated our transfer business still?
What we've got coming in has been excellent. I think even the 2 youngsters that we, Cardozo and Ajeti, that we bought the other day, signed this morning, and Cardozo the other day, I think are really, really good. I love to work out the average age of the squad now, because I bet that's brought that down quite considerably. I was actually looking at the number of players that have gone out. We've kind of let about 14 players go, but a lot of them, as you've just said, have been more or less dead wood. Usually a club would worry about letting so many players go, but when a lot of the players really didn't make that much of an impact last season, it's not a big deal. And the 6 players that we brought in, the 2 freebie goalies, we needed cover and goalkeeping, but the 4 outfield players that we've got, I think, have been excellent. Yeah. Really, really good.
Of course, we are back with our preview. We definitely want you to engage with us, so make sure you get the comments in below. Let us know your opinion on what we'll say throughout this preview. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the thumbs up. Again, we just say a massive thanks to our partners at Umbro. We'll be giving away a lot of tops throughout the season. And of course, get following the Supporters Club, where we'll be doing exclusive filming after, sometimes before the games, for home games. And of course, check out Fandangles, who does a lot of our design work on the channel. All the links will be below. Man City still have strengthened by spending a mere £140 million on just 4 players. Rodri from Atletico Madrid, Cancelo from Juventus, Angelino from PSV Eindhoven, and Stefan from Columbus Crew. Can you see any of these particular players starting for Man City on Saturday?
I don't know when they were brought in, mate. If they were all recent or beginning of the transfer window. Do you know that?
Yeah, pretty much throughout. They've been in and around the squad now and had a pre-season under the belts.
Right.
Most of them.
If they've had a pre-season under their belts, then they're either going to be in the team or they're going to be on the sub bench, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're all. I mean, it's not as if City really needed reinforcements, is it? So
But it's just the fact that, they've brought these 4 players in for the mere, as I've mentioned, sarcastically, £140 million. But, I suppose it brings me on to the Manchester City team in general, because not just strengthening it with these 4 squad-ish players, because they do a lot of... they move that side around. There's a lot of transitions taking place. A lot of... you've got to bring in players like Sterling, De Bruyne, Aguero, the 2 Silvas. There's just goals and assists oozing out of that side. It's scary.
I kind of think that you'll probably see a lot of the established players starting in their first few games, and I think the new players are going to be brought in over time, and will play a significant role throughout the season, as well as Champions League. Of course, they want to win the Champions League. I'm sure they'll want to have a clear sweep of every competition that they'll be in this season. So I think against that, you're probably going to see a lot of the established players that you just mentioned, the Sterlings, the De Bruynes, etc. So we might be lucky and get away with not having. They'll probably have one new starter in the lineup.
There's looking like it's probably going to look like it's going to be Rodri. That'll add a bit of value to that starting lineup. Because I think you're probably looking at a predictable lineup of Ederson, Walker, Stones, Laporta, Zinchenko, Rodri, and then you start working your way up this team with the scary goals. De Bruyne, Silva, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, Aguero and Sterling. Of course, due to the injury that Sani picked up in the Charity Shield, what another player they've got who was potentially linked with a move away from Man City for a crazy fee, but he's obviously injured, which is going to keep him at Man City as well. That looks like there's potentially their only real injury concern, but like you said, they've brought in and strengthened in that area. How do a team like Manchester City set up, against the West Ham side? We'll come on to West Ham in a minute, but how do you think they're going to progress this season? Especially last year when there was only 1 point in the league in particular.
I don't think they're going to do much different, mate. I think they're going to be set up in exactly the same way Guardiola has set them up, since he's been at City. I don't think they're going to, because their setup, their process is established. It's good. It brings results. They win games. They score a lot of goals. All they've done is they've just added quality to that setup. So I don't think they'll necessarily change their style of play. I think Man City and Guardiola, they're the sort of club that they don't worry about the opposition's setup, so to speak. They let the opposition worry about their setup, and I don't think they'll be any different to what they have been. They're gonna have the solid back 4. They're going to have their players defensively in the middle, and then they're going to allow their attacking players to go and strike fury in every team that they play against.
Let's not forget the one thing that's new for this season, not just players that are signing for both the clubs, but the introduction of VAR.
Yeah. Is
this going to have more of an impact for teams like Manchester City or more of an impact to teams like West Ham? Manchester City, they play high, moving forward, pressing game, start from the back a lot.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it's interpreted, isn't it? Because if all it's going to be is an extension of the referees giving the big teams favourable decisions, then you may as well not have it. And we know we suffered last season from a few bad decisions against us, offside goals and stuff like that. So I'm really hoping that it's, the whole VAR process is going to be so independent that it will take away this what seems to often be the referee preference for giving bigger teams decisions.
Yeah.
But if VAR is used to just strengthen those decisions, then I think a lot of clubs like ourselves are going to be really upset about it. So I really, really hope it creates a level playing field.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit concerned how it might be interpreted. If it's interpreted to exactly the way it should be, then I think clubs like West Ham are going to benefit from it. But it's going to be interesting to see, mate. It's going to be interesting to see.
There was a few times last season, in particular with Manchester City, that teams would turn up and take the game to Manchester City. And sometimes that seems to be the way that you are going to try and steal a point or the 3 points from Manchester City. If you sit back trying to defend that opportunity, there's just too much attacking prowess in their side that can't do that. Again, we'll come on to West Ham and our defensive potential problems coming up. But do West Ham just go for it let's look at our signings in particular. We've made 6 signings, solid ones in that. Fornals, Haller, Ajeti, Cardosa, Martin, Roberto. And obviously we've received some great news that Fabianski is going to be fit for the game on Saturday. Taking all that into consideration, how do West Ham attack that process of Man City?
Mate, the one thing that we've realised throughout pre-season is that we've got a continuation of what happened throughout last season. We conceded 55 goals last season, so trying to keep out teams like Man City, Man City will score. They'll probably score against every team they play. But if we think that we're going to try and block them out in defence, I think we're mistaken. And because of their, what we've just discussed about the attacking players that they have, they're going to create chance after chance. They grind teams down, and even the best defences in the world, eventually fall flat. I mean, I can't remember too many teams that had a clean sheet against City last season.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think our best line of defence is going to be attack. Because like I said, City are going to look at our defence, and we're probably now getting on to West Ham, and they're going to know our weaknesses, and they're going to exploit them to the hilt. And that's why I know that they won't necessarily change their style of play, because they know the type of game that they're going to play against us. We had a taste of it in China. And I know that was pre-season, and pre-season results don't count. But for us, it's got to be about defending from the front.
I mean, in particular, let's look at West Ham's midfield, because it does look tasty still. Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Fornals, Wilshere, Anderson, Rice, Snodgrass, Sanchez. I mean, Anderson's gone under the radar the whole summer, to be honest. I mean, he was borderline our best player last year, attacking player, assists, goals coming out of his ears. But you've just got to add the rest of that to the whole equation, and it does look tasty. I know you were at the pre-season friendly against Atletico Bilbao at the weekend. Yes, it is a friendly, but it was the first real opportunity to see this style of play that Pellegrini's looking to do, and it does look dangerous. It does ooze and give you that feeling of confidence.
It does. We've got obviously the major differences. Haller is a proper striker. Mm-hmm. He knows what runs to make. He really has great link-up play with the attacking midfield. He drops to pick up the ball, but not so far where he's not effective. He drops enough in order to pick the ball up and then get the midfielders involved, and then he moves forward himself. He knows what runs to make, little flicks, holds the ball up well. And, when you compare him, and this isn't being, this isn't just being horrible against Arnautovic, but when you compare him against what Arnautovic was like, this player is a proper striker who will be able to play up front on his own and will actually relish doing it. Mm. And his game is about drawing defenders out, and bringing
his midfield in.
Exactly, and that's what he did against Bilbao. He went a bit out wide, he dropped a bit, but as he was holding the ball up, the midfield went flooding forward. You said Anderson's gone under the radar. Anderson and Lanzini are going to absolutely
relish
it with 4 hours in the midfield. Yeah. And let's not forget Wilshere, because Wilshere's been really, really effective in pre-season. And if he continues to stay fit, I'm telling you, we are going to cause problems. And that's why I think, the defending from the front, it means, sort of putting any other team's back line under pressure. And I reckon we're going to put Man City under pressure on Saturday. We're not going to try and defend anything on Saturday because We are. We know.
Still, you're giving me goosebumps, and I'm starting to worry about these goosebumps because I'm not. I do get this the season just before the first game of the season. I get let down so badly on the first game of the season. But me and you done the first preview last year, and we were talking about particular players. We were really excited about Yarmolenko. He did play really well. His injury just stepped in and had an effect. We're not even talking about players like Yarmolenko just now, but it's great to know that we've got that strength and depth in midfield, where I believe our issue will probably fall to the defence. For me personally, we've had problems in our defence for years, and I think we haven't really put that as a priority this year. But I think by next summer, if not January, it will be Pellegrini's priority.
But let's talk about our defence for a minute, because in a way, if you think of it sensibly, I agree. I think we're kind of still a bit light in defence, but we've actually strengthened two players in defence. That's the one we bought, Cardozo, and Ben Johnson, who's going to feature greatly in the games this season. So we've kind of got two players there that we kind of didn't have last season. I know Johnson played against City last season, but he was played once and then he was out of the team again. But he'll feature more prominently. So we do have, and we kind of.
Are we getting carried away from pre-season then still? Because
because pre-season wasn't that fantastic.
But are we getting carried away in terms of, are we judging our defence on pre-season?
No, our defence, what our defence did in pre-season is what they were doing last season. We conceded goals. There was only one game in pre-season that we didn't concede, and that was against Fulham. Whereas every other game we played, we conceded goals. So no, it isn't just being carried away about what happened in pre-season. It's ongoing from what happened last season as well. So we are going to concede, and I think you're absolutely right. I think it'll get to January, and then Pellegrini might have a decision to make about how he should strengthen the defence again. Because I think we look at our backup. Our first four are going to be Fredericks, Diop, Bruyne, and Ayanaba on the left. And that Ayanaba could be Masuaku, it could be Creswell.
He's not played a lot of games though, Masuaku, either.
He hasn't. But it could also be Johnson. So he's actually got three options there. But I think he'll have a decision to make around about Christmas time as to what he does with central defence. And whether Cardozo comes in or whether he continues to sort of develop him, and give him a few minutes game time here and there. But in terms of backup, I think Cardozo will get more taste of the game, early on, so that Pellegrini can make a decision whether he's really ready for the Premier League. And from what we hear and from what we've seen, he probably is. So maybe it's not as bad. I think the only problem we've got is left back.
I think you're right still, actually. I think the more you really think about it, you think if we don't have injuries, that you've got Balbuena, Diop, Reid, Ogbonna and Cardosa. That's 5 centre-halves, albeit a couple of them can be injury-prone or not that great here, there and everywhere. But they're still challenging for a spot. And all that's going to do is have Balbuena and Diop looking over their shoulder going, these guys want to come back in. We all know when Reid is fit, if he ever gets fit again, he's a good defender. And that will be good for the challenge of Diop and Balbuena. We know that Ogbonna can step in when and if needed. His injury record is okay now. And Cardosa obviously is the kind of youthful player trying to come through the ranks. So that's good options. So again, maybe a lot of fans are getting carried away with the pre-season and what we've been used to over the last few years. Which brings me nicely into West Ham's starting lineup. We've discussed Man City's potential lineup, so let's just get straight into West Ham's lineup still. Fabianski, great news, he's fit for the game, and it's a blatant, obvious choice that he will start. Is that a blessing in disguise? Have you been impressed by Roberto?
I think Roberto's first couple of games in pre-season were actually okay. Then he had a bit of a stinker against Hertha Berlin, and I think that's what is sticking in fans' minds. And ironically, even though we lost against Bilbao and they scored 2 goals and then we lost on penalties, Roberto didn't actually have that much to do. I know that sounds a bit weird, but he actually didn't. So I think, he had one bad game in pre-season. And I think, when he gets to know the squad better, throughout continuous training and stuff like that, I think he'll be all right. He ain't going to be any great shakes, but I don't think he's going to be any worse than Adrian was.
It's funny though, still, it's like David Martin's come in and he's championship proven and played a lot of games over his career, and he's not even really been given a chance yet. Now, I know there's all that talk about, they brought in two keepers for what Adrian was worth and still saved money on the wages. But I would always like to see the third keeper, Martin, get given a shot because he's used to the English leagues in particular. So it's something to think about for the future.
He might be. I just think we'll see how it goes. And I think if and when Roberto gets his chance, he'll probably get his chance in a cup game or something like that. If Roberto doesn't prove himself, then Martin might well come in. I don't know much about Martin, to be honest. I know slightly more about Roberto. After he was signed, we kind of looked at his form and a couple of videos and stuff, and he's an experienced keeper as well. He's not that bad.
Yeah.
I don't think Pellegrini would have brought a keeper in that was just shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of loved Adrian, didn't we? And we loved his character, and anyone after him wasn't necessarily going to live up to expectation. And we've gotten to rely on Fabianski so much in terms of the quality that he's produced that nothing's going to be anywhere near him. So let's see. But,
good news that he's playing and he's in. It's obvious that Balbuena and Diop will play the centre half pairing. Just leaves us the back wing backs, or the right back, left back position. Do you think Fredericks will start?
I think Fredericks will start. It's just going to be interesting to see who starts on the left. It looks like Noble's going to miss the game, so I think by default Creswell will start,
who's been captain.
Captain.
Yeah.
And I think it's a toss-up, isn't it, between Masuaku and Creswell.
He does like Creswell, though. He does like Creswell.
Sorry, mate?
He does like Creswell.
He does, and I think Creswell is the marginally better defender. Between
and on that, Stel, get your comments in below and let us know if you agree with Stel on that. Who do you think is the marginally better defender over Masuaku and Creswell? Stel saying it is Creswell. A few other guys in Manchester United will disagree with that, but that's fine. That's what we're allowed to do.
Well, should we nip that one in the bud? Because they're basing it on, and a lot of people are basing it on the last 4 or 5 games of last season, where they're all saying that Masuaku played great. Well, he didn't play badly, but, as has been repeatedly said, those last 4 or 5 games were kind of nothing games, apart from the Spurs game. They were kind of nothing games. The teams that we were playing against, I think Southampton had just avoided relegation. Watford were looking forward to a cup final. I can't remember who else it was we played. They had nothing to play for. And Masuaku, it couldn't have been a better time for Masuaku to have a run of games as it was at the end of last season. And he wasn't really challenged. He wasn't really tested. And I still think that Masuaku is a show pony. I still don't think he's really got that quality of defending. Of course, I've been proven wrong because he's been given a 5-year extension on his contract. But I think, having thought about that contract extension, that's more about making sure that we get a decent price for him when we finally sell him, to be honest with you.
Let's look at what our formation will be. Are we going to go 4-5-1, or is it that kind of, obviously the attacking prowess? We've got the 4 at the back. Let's be brutally honest. We know Sebastian Haller will start up top. So it really leaves...
It's going to be 4-2-3-1.
Yeah. Those 5 in the midfield are going to be generating a lot of the problems. So Declan Rice there protecting everyone?
It looks like it. I think Declan Rice is going to have his work cut out for him this season. He's going to earn his money because, the closest holding midfielder or defensive type of midfielder there is to him, other than himself, is either going to be Noble or Wilshere. And if we really, 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 really get desperate, then of course we've got Sanchez.
Yeah.
So Declan is going to he's going to earn his money this season.
And then beside him in more of an attacking role is Wilshere.
Yeah, I think Wilshire's going to be the link between that defensive and the midfield. He's not a box to box, but he's been class.
He's good enough for that, yeah.
Absolutely, and he's been, I've been waxing lyrical about him for pre-season because he looks so up for it.
Absolutely.
Guys, fingers crossed that he stays fit, because if he does, I put him down as Hammer of the Year.
Yep. Anderson, Fornals doing their business on the wings, cutting in.
Anderson, Fornals, and Lanzini. Yeah.
And Lanzini doing their business up top. It's exciting still. It's exciting.
It is.
But still, rewind 1 year, rewind 2 years, rewind 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. How many times as West Ham fans did we get carried away?
We have got carried away, but I think the difference, mate, is last season Pellegrini brought in, how many did he bring in? 6 or 7 players, like all that were all going into the first team.
Yeah.
Yarmolenko, Anderson, oh God, I mean, it's so long ago now, I can't remember who else. Diop, Bruyne, they were all starters.
And they've had their chance now. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas this season, he's bought 6 players, but out of those 6, 2 are going to be in the starting lineup, Allaire and Fornals. Whereas the others, they're kind of backup. Cardozo, Ajeti, the goalkeepers, etc. They're more backup. So what he's done is, which is nice, he's tweaked the team. In areas it would have been nice to see, and Johnson, of course, another one who might not necessarily back up, but he looks so ready to be a starter. So he's tweaked it. So he's got the crux of the team that was there last season, which I think is a massive advantage. Whereas last season, when we got carried away, there were too many new players that needed to gel. And whereas we don't have that this season. And already we've seen Fornals and Allaire gelling. Gelling already, as if they've been there season already.
Well, let's round this up with some quick fire questions for both of us. The man to watch for West Ham for Saturday's game.
What, against us, you mean?
No, for us, for West Ham. The man to watch for West Ham. I'll let you think about it. I'll come to you. I'll let you know. For me, Lanzini, coming off a really bad injury, coming back last year, performing reasonably well. He's going to have this free role. He's going to get given the freedom. It's the first time he's been given all these sorts of players in and around him. Really excited to see his style of playing and his moving forward. So really excited about Lanzini. What about you, Stel?
Well, a couple of the lads talked about, if you remember Lanzini when he was really shining, he was shining when Payet was there.
Yeah.
Because they clicked and they knew each other's game, etc. Lanzini now has Fornals and Anderson to play off. So it's really difficult because those 3 players, I think that all 3 of those players are going to be absolutely supreme for us.
Yeah.
But given that they're all going to be supreme for us, I'm going to go for Allaire because he links them up.
Absolutely.
He links them up.
And for you West Ham fans that are watching, let us know in the comments below who you think the man to watch for West Ham is. The man to be wary of for Man City still. We're going to have to round this up very quickly.
Take your pick, mate. I don't know.
Give me one. Sterling.
Every one of them.
yeah. Sterling's probably going to be the really most dangerous one. He finds his spot wherever he is. He's just in front of goal and pops them in. So we just need to keep an eye on him. Before we move on, make sure you get your predictions in. Make sure you follow us on all the socials. Lots of good content coming out. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up. Of course, get your comments in below. Let us know how you think we are doing for these previews. If you're interested in coming on the video, get in touch. Let us know. Still, predictions for Saturday for our first game at home and first game of the season.
2.
Goals.
Yeah, there'll be goals. Goals. But I don't think we'll have too many clean sheets this season. But we're going to score a hatful. 2.
Right. I'm going to go for a really positive start. I'm going to go for a 3. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win to West Ham, and I'm going to call VAR. VAR's going to get called upon in the game, controversially.
We've got VAR. Everyone's got VAR.
So let's see what's going to happen there. Please, again, thank you for watching. Make sure you are getting your predictions in below. We'll have a read through them. We'll reply to as many as we can, and we will get back to you. But of course, still, it's the first game of the season. It's Man City that's up. We are at home. Let's just get behind the lads. Come on, you Irons.